We are back. I had this thing where I wanted to, where I wanted to change decks for one, so that you can see, be able to better identify the cards that were coming out. Because the deck that I was using, the images were a bit complicated and it was in fine print, so it was kind of hard with this dinosaur of equipment that I'm using, which is okay. I'm still inside of the um, I'm not replacing anything until it truly needs to be replaced. Especially when it comes to these pricey ass items inside of this society. But what I did say was that I was just going to come and see um, what comes out. Let's just see what the cards have to say. Um, and my intention, the intention that has been set, is wanting to hear what the cards have to say um, through my interpretation. Remember, tarot is based upon the interpretation of the reader. It is not universal. It is not standard. Now, there are fundamental meanings to each card, and then there's also ways to read them together and succinctly and simultaneously and things like that. But it still is subjected to the points of views and the paradigms of the reader. Because one card can mean three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine different things to three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine different readers. And I've noticed it. I've noticed it. And like I say, it does also depend on the intentions of the reader, what it is that the reader seeks to discover and find out, as well as the cards that come out in front of it, behind it, around it, up and down it. So, all depending on how they're situated on the table, on the board. So, tarot is a very flexible tool of communication. Some read for entertainment, some read for quite the opposite. So, yeah, let's just see. Let's just see. This is another thing that I think I want to say real quick is inside of a world of diversification, we will lose. I've been in this pocket that continues to provoke me to talk about emotion, to raise the momentum that will help balance out this logic versus emotional thing. Here's one of the tests that I've been putting myself through and have every now and again urge other people or invite other people. Notice, include with yourself, whether you are a numbers person or a words person. And then notice the unicorns where the strength is both. So you either are strong in numbers or you strong in words. And that's just to simplify it because, of course, there are other talents up and down both sides of the spectrum. But you are either strong in words or you're strong in numbers. And then the unicorns that are strong in both. That means that they are wonder with words and they also can pump out a written correspondence. And one thing that I've been noticing is that the numbers people judge the word people judge the numbers people, not understanding that the dominance and strength, the average is gonna have strength in one or the other. And then you have the numbers people asking the word people why you can't count. And then you have the word people asking the number people why you can't spell. Instead of realizing that the harmonization is when they both get together. Just like there is this thing where the extroverts be judging the introverts, why you don't get out and do more? And then the introverts be asking the extroverts, why you don't calm the fuck down somewhere? And then the unicorns are the ones that realize that they are a harmonization of introvert and extrovert, and it all depends on the person, place, or thing of the harmonization of which version of them shows up. Okay, well, let's let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Wow. Okay, these are some heavy ones, but it goes along the lines of what it is that I am speaking about. The decisions, the decisioning processes when there's time to make decisions. Are we making decisions according to what we can't see? Yeah, I think that's what I want to say. What we can't see, because there are many blind spots and fill in the blank moments that we just glaze over. Are we making decisions attached to our stress or to stay away from stress? Or here's another thing that baffles me when it's like, you know what? I'm going to do this so that I don't ever have to do it again. We never know what's coming up for us. We never know. We never know what it is that is going to spring up. When I hear that, it makes me feel like folks have yet to mature in the elements of unpredictability. And so when expectations aren't met, it fucks with this to the point where you aren't able to be patient enough to understand that. And I'm just going to say Rome wasn't built in a day, even though I try to stay away from like the Roman mythology because it just seems like yeah, that ain't part of me at all. That it seems like the Roman Empire began the demise of my people, and it on just one level. It's not talking about the multitude of treachery around the globe for my kinfolk. Anywho, blindly making decisions, to me, this card right here tells me that it's more about my intuition than it is about my logic. That my decisions and the way that I determine whether I'm going to be or not be is about not what I see with my physical eyes. I have to go inward. I have to close off these physical eyes so that my first eye can activate. Interesting. Okay. I was just talking about the Ten of Cups. I was just talking about the Ten of Cups in the segment right before this one. And I said that most often, especially tarot readers, when we see this card, we think that it's 10 cups worth of bliss, not even realizing that emotions are a spectrum. And this ain't my word. You ain't got to take my word for it. You ain't got to. It's everywhere. Tap into the world of psychology or emotionality, and you will see that the spectrum of emotions run the gamut, baby. Sorrow is an emotion. Anger is an emotion. Defensiveness is an emotion. It seemed like to me that inside of this society, the defensive line is only valued inside of football. Why you being so defensive? Because there's something to defend. Are you fucking kidding me right now? So, in my opinion, my kinfolk are stepping into these energies where they understand that it is a balance of light and dark, and that happiness isn't guaranteed. And if you spend your whole life searching for happiness, you're going to miss the treasure troves that are also incorporated in the not so happy moment. Because we get them all. Whether we want to be honest about them or not, we have those moments that hurt like the dickens. But because we have been conditioned to be ashamed of this hurt and pain, as if some of this hurt and pain wasn't part of an agenda item, and then you don't be allowed. Or how about this? I think I think we are at an all-time low with folks giving themselves the permission to feel the way they feel. The only way shame accumulates is that you have to agree to it. But if your intuitive value tells you there is no need for you to be ashamed because there is something that they don't see, they are judging you because they have all these fill in the blanks. They don't even know a portion of how things naturally, uniquely, and authentically unfolded. And so they way over there trying to judge your life. They don't have the courage to come sit down and talk with you. Trying to call plays from the nosebleed seat. And why your fucking nose bleed? Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey is different. And we're going to allow this society all drummed up in its dreams of a greater place. That's why I say this whole make this place great again all depends on who's telling the fucking story. And yet and still, we will go waving that banner, not even realize they ain't talking to you, nor had they ever said they was talking to you. They ain't talking to you. You the product. They ain't talking to you. Do you literally go and talk to your shoes and say what you think? Now, some people might be like, okay, am I gonna wear this pair today? Am I wear this pair today? But they not consulting the shoes themselves. They're not consulting the shoes themselves. See, we be failing to get into the mentality of the societal makers and the societal engineers that say you are the fucking product. Work the job. And that's the only way you're going to gain value. We're going to have you entwine your value up into performance. That's what products do. You're not allowed to have a weird day. I ain't taking all of that. You're not allowed to have a weird day. You're not fucking human. How dare you showcase your feelings? You're not goddamn human. You're not human. And so when you have this narrative that been doused in the human psyche of a certain kind of people, then they not going to be extending no courtesy amongst each other because you not fucking human. Get up, go to work every day. We're gonna give you a little piece of money so that you can sort of semi survive. And you better not complain about a goddamn thing. And if you hurt, you better go get in the corner somewhere because everybody's conditioned to reject your feelings. Your feelings don't matter when that's 50% of your existence. So 50% of you don't matter. The part that matters is the cheery team player, ready to go, focused on somebody else's bottom line. And then maybe we'll give you a plaque for 10 years. And then maybe at the 25 mark, we'll give you another little certificate and plaque. But then when it's time for you to retire, we're going to fight you for your time accumulated that we now got to translate into dollars. We're going to have you do all this weird shit and hurdles and shit just to get your retirement payments to kick in. And then it's still going to take you 6 months after you aren't working no more. And yeah, you're going to have all this weird shit go on after you didn't work for us for 30 years. And yes, I'm talking about a handful of folks that I personally know that stepped into retirement. And my big sister Reese, to me personally, was the superhero of all of the cases that I just blended all together. Her approach to retirement was the smartest approach I have yet to run into. And I speak to quite a bit of people about their retirement, or have been privileged to speak to different people, man and woman, about their journey into and post retirement. I think my other sister, who's a postal worker for 30 years, I think she was the one amongst the most heartbreaking retirement processes that I've ever heard of. Now, does that mean every postal worker goes through that when it's time to retire? I'm not sure. But I know hearing her and her situation, that was heartbreaking. After she gave their asses 30 years, body all broke down, knees all fucked up. So, yeah, I think that might be it. No other cards are coming out. So that might be all that I wanted to come up here and talk about for right now. Um, just like I said, it's rather intriguing, the push that I am now getting, um, to speak, because most of the time it's just like I don't feel like doing all that. It's just too much going on, and I'm just gonna keep my thoughts to myself. And then it's just like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Whether folks disagree with you or not, it needs to go up there so that it can be part of the historical factor. And when you do it, already know it's uncomfortable for you. Already know you are in such uncomfy space when you post, but this is part of the call. This is part of the charge. Little bit by little bit, because it's about you. It's not about them. It's about you stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing what the heart tells you needs to be done. And so if you don't do it just because you're going to be uncomfortable, you're missing the point, because it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the journey. And seeing as that you didn't sign up for it to make you popular, don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. Because everything is not for entertainment. Everything is not for likes and clicks. That's not what everything is about. Sometimes it really is about your own pro personal development, your own individualized journey. And just by the sake of the experience is where the nougat is where that treasure trove resides. That's what it's about. It's not about them, it's about you. It's always about you. And to have somebody think that it is about anything on the outside of you, that's where these crosshairs coming at. That's where these crosshairs coming at. And remember, there are tons of diverse points of view. Just like cocktail, just like mixed drinks. Folks' point of views are like mixed drinks. Do you know everything that goes inside of a Long Island iced tea? But then we want to, if that was to transpose into the psyche of somebody, we would want to call them schizophrenic. When Pluto comes through and it's giving you some heavy things to think about, and it wants you to reconcile your mistakes so nobody else can shame you for it, then you'll call it depression, and then you want to go get their synthetics. Reconciling our disappointments, I think, is a part of the Great Commission as an earthling, as a celestial having an earthling experience. You came here to feel because the greater consciousness, you already know how to think. You came here to feel. So, yeah. Oh, okay. What we got? Ah. You came here to talk about and reconcile your R&R and your R&D, your rest and relaxation and your research and your development. You came here to feel, and you came here to process according to those feelings. But if you live inside of a cultural denomination that was never allowed to feel, products don't feel, you get auctioned off and you get put to work. You get to service in your master, that or whom that owns you. And economically, if you are not the producer, you're the consumer. And I am not speaking on one terms. I am not talking about the bomb ass producer that rocks the wonderful gear and everyone's glad to see him or her. I ain't talking about the one level of this thing. Collectively, there is still a people that are indentured servants. Just because they pay you more doesn't mean that you are not part of the bottom line. Because if you don't come to work, let's think about it for a minute. If the collective black folk did not show up for work, but you know that's never going to happen because folks got bills to pay and uh, debt to reduce and children to raise and insurances to keep and things to accumulate and businesses to start and spark and families to maintain and things to contribute to or support, investigate, research, develop. So, and with all of that type of wealth being intertwined with their performance and ability to work another's agenda, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I honestly don't. It doesn't even make sense for that to happen. But I'm just saying, in a world where the the catalyst is they no longer have folks to work they shit, then it almost makes me feel like the employers of the world would get a little bit more manners when it comes to how they treat their people. Because right now it feels like it's still being handled like a given. For all the faceless folks that own these conglomerates or the boards or the committees or the council, all these folks that take for granted that they will have a staff full of people to work their assembly lines and sell their products and yeah, be on the front lines, holding down the front lines and maintaining the back lines. Like they making all this shit make sense. And all those that own these places of employment, all they have to do is submit their paperwork and stay in compliance so that their permits and credentials can stay intact. And then they can still come to work and treat their workers like shit and still oversee and ration out when folks can take off. And it's what's more important is that you show up so they can maintain their bottom line. They don't give a fuck about your mom or your children. That's the reason why they can still be trying to require 5 out of your 7 days. These folks don't even have lounges for you just to go and realign your emotions or your energetic frequency. These overwhelmingly stressful environments, these underpaid stressful environments, these anti-cultural stressful environments. But you know who they cater to. And so we know this, we see this. It's on a collective. This isn't just one or two individuals talking about this. And yet and still, when you go for another job, you better not talk bad about that other job because they're all in cahoots. It's all about the employer because you are the indentured servant. And you better be glad you get the paycheck because there's so many who don't. There's so many who are struggling below the poverty line. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm not gonna keep shuffling. I'm putting them down. I'm not drawing another card. I'm putting them down. So it's Friday, September 9th, 2022 at 11:18 a.m. DC, Maryland, and Virginia time, DMV Standard Time. And it's beautiful outside too. It really is. I love this time of year. This is my favorite time of the year. One of the reasons why we're rocking with John Coltrane right now. We are dealing with one of the favorite, and one of my most favorite things, and that's the autumn season. And I think I might have mentioned a couple of videos ago, the first day of school was always a holiday for me. It don't matter what grade I was in. Shit was terrible at home. First day of school was always an adventure. That don't mean the whole fucking school year was an adventure, but the first day of school was always an adventure. Brand new backpack and brand new school supplies and shit. And it was always a lucky day if you got one of the brand new textbooks instead of the textbooks that's been handled for a couple of years. When you lucked up and got a brand new textbook, honey, when your name was the first one to go. Yeah, it's the little things for me. The King of Swords. The King of Swords is the little things for me. And it really do, like my North Node being in Aquarius and my Venus being in Aquarius. Yeah, it's the things that allow my wheels to turn, freely. Because they always turning. But it's wonderful when I can have great sustenance that allows it to turn even better. All right then. Yeah, how many times I've been trying to end this? Thanks for hanging out with me. And I do wish you well.